Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do the August 23rd spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I hope you're doing well today. Excited to spend some time with you guys. Good. The title of this meditation for today, Striving for Emotional Maturity. Emotional maturity is our reward for letting go of anger and resentment. Now, that comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 7, Principles, Practice, and Perspective. Perhaps we've all encountered circumstances when another member gets on our last nerve. When that happens, sometimes it takes everything in us not to attack them, mock them, shut them down using whatever tactics we can. We may want to bolt from the room because we see how this person, who may or may not have wronged us in some way, enjoys the respect of other members in the group. We want to expose them as a fraud and a hypocrite, but we don't. We say nothing because we know our personal feelings about another member should play no role in how, for instance, our area contributes to the region's fellowship development efforts. At other business meetings, we'll have no problem keeping our mouths shut because we'd much rather roll our eyes and smugly watch the same two members battle it out like they always do over the finer points of coordinating an effective public relations campaign. In those situations, we have to stop ourselves from sharing the eye roll with everyone else in the room, revealing our displeasure with the proceedings. We love to break our silence by audibly groaning at how much time they're taking up. A member shared, the second I start thinking about how I'm the only adult in the room, I know I'm not coming from a place of emotional maturity. With some practice, we can learn to check out ourselves in situations where previously the monster that lives in our head would have burst out in full force in an effort to kill the proceedings. Similarly, we find a way to restrain our inner adolescent who would snark, scoff, and snipe at members merely for being themselves. Emotional maturity may not sound like a big enough reward for not acting out on our character defects, but doesn't it make our lives so much more manageable and peaceful? And isn't that a big part of why we came here in the first place? I will practice reining in my reactiveness in situations where my personal feelings about other members serve no relevant purpose. Today, emotional maturity is a reasonable reward for those efforts. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. So here we are, striving. I don't like the word striving. I don't like the word striving, but that's what we're doing, right? We're reaching for this goal of emotional maturity. It says here in the Living Clean book that it's our reward for letting go of anger and resentment. Emotional maturity. There's a brother in our fellowship. I think he has about 38 years or so, maybe even more, clean. And he's known for sharing and talking about being emotionally clean and how we struggle as individuals to be emotionally clean. We get ourselves caught up in situations within the rooms, which is what we're talking about. Uh, and we find that principles go out the door, our ability to practice honesty, open mindedness, and willingness goes out the door. Our perspective is it suddenly shape shifts back to just I'm the adult in the room. They know they need to stop, and I'm going to force my disposition into this situation, embarrass them, let everyone know how ridiculous this is, that they go on like this and take up all of our time to discuss the same two things. And 9 times out of 10, there's something personal that has taken place between them, and everyone else has to pay the price. If we just are talking about our own experience, many of us can relate to what I've just said. We vote no instead of voting yes because the person that is seemingly promoting their selfish interest wants the yes. So we don't even consider what our group wants. We just make the decision and vote no because, of course, vengeance is wonderful, isn't it? It's sweet. Vengeance is sweet. Yeah, chocolate like type sweet, right? Can you imagine the smile that comes across our face when we think we were able to get someone back? Yeah, that's not emotional maturity. That's very childish to make Narcotics Anonymous and its efforts to make sure that it stays around and vote something down just because we're angry with someone. It really doesn't even have to be in a service context. It could be at a regular meeting. It could be wherever your faith system is and wherever you go to participate in that. We, a lot of times, are wearing our feelings on our sleeves, and every little thing just gets us going. Well, after some time being clean and working the steps and relating to a sponsor, your response changes. I'm not saying necessarily that your feelings, right, change. In the beginning, it says we are letting go of anger and resentment. I mean, to the day I draw my last breath, I am going to be in a position of dealing with and coping with my emotions and making sure that they don't get in the way of good decision making, which was our just for today meditation. I have to do that. I have to do that because honestly, I have an opinion about everything, but I don't express it. And even when someone is asking, I'm trying to make sure that I put it in a way where I'm not taking control of their decision making, right? So it's very difficult for me to sit in the meeting and my face not give away what I'm thinking about the situation. Someone said something to me across the room in a meeting one time, and I thank God it's been a long time since this happened. And I was taken aback by the things that they were saying about me in such a public way during their share at a meeting, but they were complaining about me sitting there, scrunching up my face, rolling my eyes, being very unspiritual. And someone came up to me after the meeting and they said, your eyes were so big while they were talking. And we all knew that you were just going to jump up and flip that table because I've done it before. I would get so angry with the shares that were going on, I would just act out and double dog dare anybody to check me. I was so full of pride. And their uh, path that they took had led this person into the church, and they had become a deacon in their church, and everyone knew it. And here he was sitting in the meeting correcting me because of how I was coming across. I was doing all of the things that this meditation suggests that we don't do. And someone came up to me after the meeting and they said that they were surprised that I didn't respond and that they realized that that must have been very embarrassing and that they loved me and gave me a hug. There's another time I want to talk about. I was sitting on the wall, and the person that was sharing about me was directly in front of me. And they were just sharing about, how I was running a particular facility and, um, my intolerance for chaos and guns in the facility I'm in charge of that hosts, meetings. And they were expressing how they felt about me barring someone from that facility because of their violent behavior and bringing a gun into the meeting. They didn't know all of the details of why I acted the way that I did, but they knew enough and they were targeting me, sniper sharing. And you know what? I didn't respond properly. I did not respond properly. And I regret that to this day. It's a beautiful thing now that this person and I can hug each other and we're just fine when we see each other today. But I did not respond the right way. And you guys are dying to know what I did, right? Okay, don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm gonna tell you what I did. They were talking and they were being very specific, sniper sharing. And I interrupt their share. And I told them, you're in an awfully vulnerable position sitting directly in front of me with me behind you. My suggestion is that you shut your mouth right now. And I use some more colorful words, right? I used a lot more colorful words because I knew that they weren't going to jump up from that chair and that I was in a position, right, that I could really make them pay uh, for what they were saying. Disrupted the whole meeting, the whole meeting. They had to take 2 more moments of silence just to get it back on track. Yeah. So the person you've met through Narcotics Anonymous, the mighty stream that you have met is an individual that had to be humiliated to become humble. And I'm just saying, if you think about the last 3 meetings that you've been in and think about what you're doing with your eyes and what you're doing with your facial expressions, your nonverbal expressions, and bring them into alignment that allows the meeting to be an atmosphere of recovery where people come and they share what's going on with them. And we're trying to, make them pay for being themselves. No one made us pay for being ourselves. We give back freely what was given freely to us. Now, how was that for unpacking? You learned a little bit more about me, but that's not what's important. What's important is how you fit yourself into this meditation. See, because by listening to me in the morning, right? It's like a meeting. It feels like a meeting. It feels like someone's sharing at a speaker meeting. It feels like that. But my goodness, I don't ever want that to be all that it feels like. I want for you, the listener, to grow in your recovery. I mean, why listen if the pieces that are being unlocked here for you, right? As I share my experience, strength, and hope, and you're receiving your own revelation about where you're at in your recovery and striving for emotional maturity. If you don't walk away and allow it to inspire you to do better, you know, I don't know. I want you to listen, but I want more for you to be inspired for change, positive change. So that was beautiful, guys. Cancer update. Let's go ahead and do a real quick cancer update. Next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing my last of the every other week chemo, where I received two medications. I chopped all of my sister locks off. I have no hair because I was just losing too much of it, and I wanted to be in control of that. So I am bald, and I think I cut off 2 feet, 2 feet and 3 inches of sister locks. And that was a lot. Next week, on the 26th of August, I will have been married to my husband for 10 years. So I will be celebrating that on the 27th. I go for that last chemo. And then after that chemo, it'll be September 10th before I receive more chemo. And then I will do 12 weeks of every week receiving chemotherapy. And as I indicated before, I'm not able to do immunotherapy. So my energy is a bit tapped. So if you're going to pray for anything, if you want to, just pray for my energy. I appreciate that. I'm going to have a beautiful day regardless, because that's what recovery has taught me. And I want for you to have a beautiful day too. Because somebody told me I sound like a Hallmark card. Because you know what? I tried to exude, positivity. I want for you to have a beautiful day on purpose too. Talk to you tomorrow.